The bike has what I would describe as a soul. It comes from an era when accountants weren't running the show as much as they do now, I think. And it's often written about the 750 Sport that it was really the way the designer, a fellow called Fabio Taglioni, it was really what he envisaged when he designed the first twins. And it's kind of, I think, an expression of real passion that to me doesn't seem to exist as much as it used to back in those days. So it comes from an era when mechanical design was really what the designer wanted, and there wasn't so much input from the bean counters limiting what they were actually doing. And also I think the Italians, they have a certain flair and style. It's hard to put into words, but appearance and style and looks and sound, they're pretty important things to the Italians, and they produce something which you could describe as having a soul. I'm Lex Harris, and I feel very privileged to have been the owner of this 1974 Ducati 750 Sport for a little over the last 30 years. I remember deciding I wanted to buy a 750 Sport, and I looked through the newspapers then. Back then you could read the Sunday Times and you could see all sorts of wonderful bikes, and actually I think there were 2 or 3 750 Sports in the paper that particular weekend when I went looking, and I ended up choosing this one. It was, if I remember well, it was somewhere down in Les Murdy, and I went down there and it wasn't running. I couldn't start it. I basically bought it almost as an unknown, but it looked good. I'd never heard the engine run, and it looked okay, so I came back with a trailer, took the bike home, and the rest is history, I guess. If I remember correctly, the kickstart was not working. I think there was a bolt missing or something like that, and the kickstart couldn't be fitted to the bike. So I put a makeshift bolt on it, and that bolt actually was on that kickstart for the next around about 29 years, until finally I made a proper one fairly recently. It's actually quite a complicated bolt. It's a step bolt that holds it all together, so I actually made one on my lathe about a year ago, and it's now good. And it's largely as I bought it. It's not really been changed very much over the years. It's pretty much as I bought it. There are some things which are not perfectly correct for a 750 Sport. The front end, I believe, is from probably a 750 Super Sport. It has gold line Brembos and double drilled discs, which were never really standard equipment for the 750 Sport. But I suspect it probably had a bit of accident damage very early in its life, and acquired what I think is probably around about a 1975 750 Super Sport front end. And it's fine. It's part of the provenance of the bike and part of its history, so I'm happy to leave it there. The 750 Sport is a sporting motorcycle. It has a sporting position to ride. It has clip-on handlebars, it has rear set pegs, so it is a kind of like a racing crouch position, and for a lot of people that's not very comfortable, especially for long rides. But I'm quite a tall person and I have quite long arms, and for me it's actually quite a comfortable position, and I can do long rides on this. I've ridden it down to Albany and back a number of times, and to be honest, I don't find it that uncomfortable. It suits me quite nicely. When I get on it, I feel like, it's like putting on an old shoe. It fits, and I don't feel uncomfortable on it at all. It's my favourite, as I said before, and to me it's probably the most beautiful of the bikes. I love the lines, I love the way it looks. It's just standing still, it's a pleasure to look at. The lines are all just right. I like the colour. It only ever came in that yellow colour. I like the way it sounds. It's just got everything going for it, and it is probably my most valued bike, the one I love most, I think. Yeah, I mean, if I had to get rid of all my bikes, that would be the last one to go, and it may end up going in my grave, I think.